everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat.
I'm
Happy
Pat.
Wednesday.
She's Lila.
How are you, my friend? Today, I actually, normally, and we were texting all day, but like this was we really had to do our own prep today. So I do feel like I need more of a Pat infusion.
Okay, let me tell you about my arrest stories because you were asking about them last week. No, I'm not actually going to do that. But
okay.
Yeah, we haven't talked too much today. I know you had an appointment and there was things going on.
Don't get old, folks. Don't get old.
That new hip? How's the new hip?
The new hip's no, it's my neck and my back. I mean, we're all just, sitting at the computer all day long, and I need to just do more stuff. I'm seeing Adria has a drink. I think the suggestion is I need to drink more, which cheers to that. For sure I do.
Cheers to that. Cheers to my local brewery that makes a good beer, Shred, who are not sponsors, but they should be. Drinking Hugs of Fury. Hugs of Fury.
Oh, I like that.
And it's delicious. It's like a juicy, they call it dank, but it's a, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't even think of it.
Dank?
It's an IPA.
Okay. That has like a little bit of the pot thing, the weed thing in it.
Yeah. Extra weed flavory kind of drink.
Yeah.
But it's not actual marijuana. Just,
so
you know.
Well, I'm not judging. Put it all in there. It can. What was it when we did the bog? Was that the bog when we had different drinks every show?
I loved the bog though.
That was kind of
when I made that big jug, the literal jug like the kids do.
That was pretty.
Bring back the bog.
Yeah, but no, I mean things are horrible. We are like on the quick path to total Christian nationalism, and apparently there's nothing anybody can do about it except for try to call a meeting or what I feel you.
They can't even call a meeting together. Yeah. We'll get to that, I guess. But like they didn't tell me there was a meeting, so we're not going to subpoena Musk because we
you missed it. Kind of like the NLRB. It keeps happening. Dems don't know. They have to go to meeting school. How do we schedule a meeting for all of our members to come together to do important stuff? But, here's what will happen. Then they subpoena him, and then he just is like, I'm not coming out. I mean, they just, now, a war criminal doing a genocide who is wanted by the ICC and the ICJ.
Showing at the White House.
Just, showing up. So doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And look, at the end of it all, if everything Musk is doing right now is criminal, Trump could just pardon him. It's irrelevant if every single thing he's doing is criminal, especially if there isn't even a fake opposition that can organize a meeting to show up at the same time. So this is really why it's like, if all this stuff is as bad as it looks to be, we have to stop it somehow.
Yes.
Like us collectively. Yeah. It's the
people
Democrats
who want a strong Republican Party. Those people aren't the ones who are going to stop a strong Republican Party.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't have any intention or desire to. So we all know it's all kayfabe. It's all kayfabe. First, though, let's go to something nice. And thank all of our wonderful pup heroes and sheroes, our members. We love and adore you guys. We are so grateful to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, please, I saw a few of you remind me to please like and subscribe, smash that notification bell. Thank you to all of you who, retweet us or respond or communicate with us via YouTube as well. All of that stuff helps the algorithm. And as a reminder, even though we are now down to just one strike, YouTube is whimsical and can do whatever it wants, however it wants. And there's not always an avenue to push back. So we are also streaming via Rumble right now, just so everybody knows.
Right. And now that we have that strike available, full frontal nudity. Full frontal. Let's go.
Yeah, full frontal. That was one of our very
first swinging, literally.
Well, yes, let's go. Swinging, swing it all. If you got it, swing it. Okay. That is, so thank you and cheers to all of our wonderful members. And then also we would like to send a really big cheers out to this gentleman. His name is, I want to get this right, Wally Rashid. And he is I don't even know what his background is. He now has a GoFundMe, which we will add to the description in YouTube, for this amazing project that he is putting together. So let's take a look.
So I'm super excited because the material just came in. We're going to try to 3D print prosthetic limbs for children in Gaza. Here's the design I'm about to test print. There's several different pieces. This was actually designed by a prosthetist and CPO of Performance Orthopedic Design. There's a lot that goes into it. I don't want to bore you guys with that, but here's some renderings of the models. I don't want to take any credit for coming up with this. I'm just using my 3D printing farm to help manufacture them. An amazing researcher named Lina Zedruli, based out of Canada, came up with this idea and I got connected to her. Right now, it's estimated that at least 15,000 children in Gaza are missing limbs. Because prosthetic limbs are so expensive and take so long to make, it's very difficult for them to get any if Israel allows them to cross into the border. So for non-weight bearing limbs like hands and arms, you can actually 3D print prosthetics. They have specific requirements in regards to material durability and whatnot, which is why I've been waiting on this material. Typically, the 3D printing material I use is PLA. It's a tougher plastic, but with prosthetics, you need something that's a bit more flexible. So I ordered a few different materials I'm going to test. The first one just came in. It takes about a day to print out all the parts, and I'm going to be doing a lot of different versions with a lot of different printer settings, but I thought you guys would enjoy following along on the process, which is why I'm sharing this. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on the R&D side of things, and we'll see how things go.
Cheers to Mr. Wally Rashid. He has since done an update showing one of them. And yeah, I mean, the early numbers were horrifying, and I think it's only gotten worse. Like, I think one in
it's
10,
way beyond
or 10
15,000.
children a day were being made amputees, which is also a concerted effort by the IDF. We know that even in 2018 with the Peaceful March of Return, where they would come up to the, the wall or the points that separate Gaza from
the snipers
Israel proper, and they would shoot them trying to take out a limb. So yes, cheers to him and all sorts of horrible things to the IDF. Cheers. Should we?
Cheers. And that is truly amazing. I mean, I need to learn a little bit more about 3D printing myself, because I'm an industrial design student. I could put my expertise into something like this, and it's really inspiring. So, I love seeing that.
It's very cool. Very cool. Somebody is saying, Cafe Moto X, he was interviewed on Colonial Outcasts. I'll have to go check that out. I didn't know that.
Very cool.
And then I'm also looking to see in response to what we were talking about with our 2 strikes, the full Monty, says J. Paul, and the runs too is still waiting for my Bobby Knight joke for strike 3.
Let's do it. After Hours needs to happen one of these nights.
After Hours will be our 3rd show of the week.
Well, actually, should we tease our 3rd show, or should we save that? The drunk show concept we were talking about.
I must have been drunk when we talked about it.
Did you forget?
I totally forgot. What is the
so when we started this show, it was more of a drunk fest than it is these days. And the idea was that we're going to be honest and unfiltered and go there as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to do that every week, especially twice a week. That's kind of pushing it.
Yeah.
So we were thinking, let's maybe bring it back to a once a month show where we just
go crazy.
Topics are all open. Viewers bring questions. We all just discuss things, drink a lot, keep it real.
You know what? Kind of I really like that. And yeah, as Saul says, this show used to be a lot drunker. The truth is, it sort of did, but I'm now drinking a lot more wine. I'm not doing the shots, but I'm drinking a lot more wine. But it's a different vibe if I'm like, nursing 3 glasses of wine versus us like slamming shots. I'm a little old, but maybe we'll do that on the
monthly, the drunk show.
And maybe part of the fun will be, we'll do it in combination with our cocktail book. so that we're like profile or like highlighting a different drink that we really have to commit to.
They don't even know about our cocktail book. You just teased that too.
Look at that. There's so much stuff in development. All right, let's get started. Right?
Let's kick it off. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Oh, good. You were worried I was going to forget to do the spin the wheel. I like the Wednesday, my dudes, but I also really like the other your other intro.
Yeah, this is just a temporary.
Newsy. Yeah,
it's a temporary space holder just to put the right vibes on things. But
that's good.
I'm working on a new one.
We need, there's a lot of heaviness. We need a little joy, just a little.
Amen.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, and you can't hear a thing. Sorry.
Perfect.
All right, crushed it. I crushed it. Definitely, the Doge police are going to come on in and find me for that one. Okay.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, come on. All right. I'm going to go ahead and spin it one more time. And then we're just going to do an audible.
Yeah, baby.
Pat.
3 strikes and we're out. Is that what you're saying here?
Go ahead and pick a thing. Pick something.
All right, let's start with some cuteness.
They're really cute, those dogs. And the ones that are standing and falling asleep, that cracks me up. My kids used to do that when they were little. Like, I just don't understand that. I wish I could be like that.
The only thing I could relate to there since I have cats now, but Pablo sleeps with his eyes open a lot. He does the ghost,
Yeah, they're rolled back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Xander, my younger son, used to sleep with one eye slightly open, and Josh thought it was because we had put him in one of our horror movies too early, and he was like, could never fully rest because he was always just a little scared by what he had seen.
That's Metallica song, by the way. One eye open.
One eye
or
open.
Lyric, at least.
All right. So, boy, there's just a lot to get to. And we spend a lot of time blaming Democrats, and I really do blame them for this full descent into just open embrace of neo-Nazis and Christian nationalism and lawlessness and all of that. So I don't know where we should start, actually. Let's just start with what the party is saying about itself many times, which is this was the New York Times just a couple of days ago, talking to 50 different Democratic leaders, most of whom refused to be named, saying we have no coherent message, which
I mean, that is the most honest thing I've ever heard. But they also strategically how many articles do we see where Democrats have no message this time and it's a good plan?
Yeah.
In
Joy.
2024.
We're just gonna bring
They're
you
like,
joy.
and it's the best thing we can do.
Yeah.
Why having a policy is bad for Democrats. There were so many think pieces written like that to defend and make cover for them just being corporate.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
stooges.
thing. Like, they really can't get away from that. So they're either blaming people who didn't show up for them, who are, watching for whatever reason. The people who, millions, I think 8 million people who had voted for Biden in 2020 just didn't show up. Is that right? I think it's if it's 4 million, I'm sorry. I will double check myself.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you just have to look at the demographics and say, how did Kamala Harris have less black support than Joe Biden? I mean,
yeah.
no message and
sexism
no results.
and racism. Nope. Sexism and racism.
No results. If you had results, if you had a little bit of a positive outcome that tilted the scales in favor for black people, they're going to show up regardless of you leaving that message out. But they know you didn't do anything. And now here you are saying you're not going to do anything. In fact, you're saying you're going to be more like the other guys.
Yep. You're going to be more like the other guy, the guy that was massively unpopular. And everything is reactive, right? Everything is, well, Trump says this, so we're going to be against it. We're against Project 2025. We're against what he said, but they had no affirmative positions because, as we all know, the affirmative positions would cost their billionaire donors money. So here they are. And it is interesting to see that a lot of regular Dem voters are caught between the outrage about the party of opposition doing absolutely nothing to oppose this. I mean, basically a coup, right? Like, on some level, it's a coup. It's totally lawless. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, buys his way into, I think he has an office now in the West Wing and taking over, all different organizations and parts of the government. And so there's a group of people who are so furious, and, they still in their heads think that it's fecklessness or cowardice or the rules-based order that Dems are always wanting to be the norms, whatever. So that's one group of people who are furious. Then there is the other group who believes all the corporate media propaganda and is still blaming like the uncommitted voters or the abandoned Biden-Harris voters or people who refuse to vote for genocide or people, so like those are the two
it's
groups.
Not like that segment is being led by Democrats leveraging that excuse. Democrats are the ones setting the example of who to blame.
Right.
And it's always the voters. It's always you guys that thought we were too, we told you this was coming. You should have listened. And look what's happening to you now. Instead of, hey, we should have listened to you. More of you would have voted for us. And this wouldn't be happening now.
Like, what is the job of a politician if not to get votes? So as soon, and this was something, honestly, I feel like the first time it was in sort of like the mainstream consciousness was when Hillary lost, or even like leading up to that general election. There was so much hatred spewed to the left flank of the party. And of course, that's not any way to get voters to show up. We're not listening to you and fuck you, shut up, just vote. That's the whole civic engagement they want. They don't want to hear from their voters. They don't want to hear from the people they hope to represent. Yeah. They just want you to show up and vote. So do you want to show the MSNBC or MSNBC? Yeah.
But the problem with that strategy is it only works on half the crowd that's following along with them.
Right.
And the other half is defecting to the side over there that you're attacking every day a little bit more. So it's a losing strategy. It works enough to keep the illusion alive a little bit, and that's they care more about that than winning is what really, we know.
100%. And Deborah, as you're saying, if the Dems had embraced the lefty enthusiasm, Bernie could have saved the Democratic Party, which is now in total shambles and more unpopular even than the neo-Nazi party of Republicans. But Instead, they crushed him and his movement. And yeah, they chose to punch left. And sorry, but I just also, oh, thank you, Hope, for your super sticker.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you.
Where were you going with your point before I interrupted?
Well, so because I know we're going sort of all over the place. Yeah. I mean, we could have had Bernie and the Democrats could have had Bernie, but obviously, not what they wanted, because they would rather have their billionaire donors. So they're never going to go that way. That's never going to happen. And instead, they will pay millions of dollars to the people we're about to show. To blame all of us instead of talk to the people who want to be the most powerful people in the world.
I feel sad and angry and scared for our communities. For months, we warned about the dangers of Trump at home and abroad, but our calls largely went unheard. Trump's illegal calls for ethnic cleansing are horrific, but as on so many issues, Democrats had a chance to persuade voters. They were better than the alternative, and they blew it.
They sound ridiculous. That statement is frustrating. That statement is ill-timed. That statement is petty. I really would call it what I want to call it, but my mom's watching the show. For me, it's if you actually voted one way or withheld your vote, you should own it. Mm-hmm. There were two choices in this campaign. It was extremely clear. You had Kamala Harris going forward, who recognized that Hamas has no place in governing Palestine, but she also knew, or Gaza, but she also knew that the Palestinian people had the right to human dignity. She also knew that Israel wanted safety and security, deserved that, had the right to defend itself. And we would have been in a much better situation. There was not a question about ethnic cleansing if Kamala Harris would have been the president of the United States.
I have to tell you.
What? I mean, the ethnic cleansing all happened under Democrats. All of it. All of it.
It wouldn't even be possible for Trump to sit there, and we'll get into this also as we go towards Israel, but to sit there and say it's unlivable if Biden and Harris hadn't spent 15 months delivering a bomb every 36 minutes, hours. See, now I'm getting
Why is
wrong.
it unlivable?
Why is it
it's
unlivable?
the meme
Why
again.
is it all rebel?
I want that meme to just be a part of the show now with the duck chasing the person. Why is it unlivable? Why?
Yeah. Seriously, what do you think happened? How did we get this way? Yeah, it's going to take, they say 350 years to complete. I mean, we'll all be, obviously we'll be gone, but I don't even have hope for humanity, but to get rid of all the toxins, all of the cancer, the rubble, all of that put in the air, into the dirt, into the water. That was Biden Harris. They did that.
Yeah, and do you notice how quickly they all raised their hand in class, they wanted to answer that question so fast to be the biggest fucking Zionist stooge on stage, so their careers is safe at CNN.
Pay me. Yeah.
So
yeah. So
this switch to Trump is not helping as far as the media goes. The media is not going to be harder on Trump regarding Palestine, because if they really stick to it, it just leads to more education of the public to how horrific the Democrats were as well.
It is interesting, though, that they're the shock that he would even suggest ethnic cleansing. I'm seeing a lot of that, which, I understand what you're saying, and I do think they're going to open themselves up if they continue down this path. But it's what we saw and what we thought was a possibility that would happen when Trump got into power, was all of a sudden all these people who were fine with everything Biden was doing are, now they're going to start criticizing the exact same thing from Trump.
Right.
And
but what this panel right here showed to me is the direction going forward. Anyone allowed on TV to discuss Palestine and Israel is going to have to put it all on Trump.
Yep.
It's going to have to be somebody who's it's ridiculous to criticize the Democrats for anything that ever happened.
What could he do? What could Biden possibly have done? And, you think that was a ceasefire? Look what's happening in the West Bank. Yeah, look what's happening in the West Bank. Look what was happening in the West Bank even before October 7th.
Yeah, did you know about it?
Yeah.
You shit lib. Did any Democrats ring the bell about what was happening in the West Bank?
So Okay. I know. Like all, part of the issue obviously is that everything is intersectional. So whether we're talking about Democrats or Republicans or the economy or Israel, like it sort of all, bleeds together. But just to keep with Democrats for a few more seconds, because just for a few more seconds, there are some people who are really trying to sound the alarm. This was in the New Republic primary, every Democrat. It's exhausting to watch poll-tested, donor-beholden congressional Democrats continue to be too old, too cloistered, and too bumbling to do anything as the government burns. And while this sort of learned helplessness seems to be what the legacy media and the sort of more well-known political pundits will put forward if they criticize at all, they still aren't getting to the crux of it, because not one of these people, well, not one of them mentions genocide, not one of them mentions a living wage, housing, healthcare, like none of that ever exists. So it's more just like fight harder, be stronger. And so to that end, we have people like Jasmine Crockett and Ayanna Pressley getting up and just sort of like shouting into the air, but that still doesn't really do much. So here is Ayanna Pressley. I mean, what are we, 3 weeks in, 2 weeks into Trump's presidency? So good to know that you've arrived.
We will see you in the courts, in Congress, in the streets. Elon Musk is a Nazi Nepo baby. A godless, lawless billionaire who no one elected. Elon, this is the American people. This is not your trashy Cybertruck that you can just dismantle, pick apart, and sell the pieces of.
I'm so torn. I love some of the attacks. I kind of love going after the Cybertruck itself, just to be a little petty, but it also reeks a little bit of like, that doesn't have anything to do with what's going on here.
Exactly.
Just like when Democrats scream that JD Vance is a couch fucker.
Yeah.
And it wasn't true.
Weird. Yeah.
You're just, the other side is like, look, we know that's not true. Why do you guys keep lying to us about this couch fucker thing? You must be bad people because you're lying. The press must be a bunch of liars because they keep repeating this. They keep parroting that couch fucking line was in his book and it wasn't. So
yeah, it's really, it's like, full of sound and fury signifying nothing, because just like with the 2 Trump impeachments, like you could go after him for real ethics violations or constitutional violations that he actually did in while he was president the first time in his first regime, right? Like the emoluments clause, right? Profiting off of his presidency. Or how about assassinating Soleimani? Like that's illegal. Like go after something real, but they never will do that because they're all doing it.
It's and the number one thing, if I was a Democrat, well, not if I was a Democrat, because then I'd be a piece of shit, own corporate bastard. But look, with all the executive orders and Trump's MAGA folks thinking, oh, this is really cleaning up the government. This is, that's the goal, right? Cleaning up the government, making it work. The Democrats should be in a position to point out, well, what are you doing to get money out of politics? Like how, if you have 100 executive orders, none of them are about stock trading or about lobbyist access or about campaign finance reform. Like this is all bullshit. And Democrats should be able to make that case. And that would be an easy case to make. And he either puts up or shuts up.
Yep.
But they can't make it because they don't want that stuff either.
I mean, Bernie tried. He wanted there to be no money in politics. Even, some of the squad, they've made comments about, listen, you can't call Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear and pretend that you actually care about getting money out of politics or that they shouldn't have holdings on the same companies that they command oversight over. Like it's all so clearly corrupt. So should we just go into some of the horrific things that are happening right now with Trump's stuff, or do you?
I mean,
like,
we can.
Yeah. Or do you want or do you want to go back and forth, or you just want to like stick with the Dems right now?
Let's stick with Dems. I mean, we got enough.
Okay.
We'll stick on Trump and the GOP. It just bleeds in right now, obviously, because it's the most important shit.
Yeah, it's
but so Dems fecklessness intentionally is the big story as well as them. So let's
we would not have Trump in power if Dems weren't so corrupt. Okay. I mean, by the way, remember, Republicans had to institute term limits because FDR, who was no, socialist, he was a capitalist to his bones, but he actually cared about doing things for his citizens because he knew otherwise they'd come after him and his friends with pitchforks. So, saving capitalism, as Adria wrote earlier. But he was with that they had to put term limits.
Right. And every bit of progressiveness out of FDR came from the public demanding it. Like he didn't write a book and go, this is how we change the country. And then we're like, let's elect him and we'll change the country.
Yeah. More Luigi's. Okay. So Schumer had something to say. If you want to get fired up.
So today, Leader Jeffries and I are joining together to push legislation to prevent unlawful meddling in the Treasury Department's payment systems and protect Americans across the country. Our bill aims to do a few simple things. One, to deny access to special government employees that don't have to disclose their conflicts of interest or any other ethic agreements. Two, to deny access to anyone with conflicts of interest or lack of appropriate clearance. And three, include personal tax information into existing privacy protections. We call our legislation Stop the Steal.
Look, we know that can't pass. It will not pass. The Republicans, they wanted all this to happen.
Good title, though.
It's like, but it's adorable. It's just like Doge, but it's the Stop the Steal. Like, are you really bringing it back to Stop the Steal?
I mean, if you actually think that Stop the Steal and January 6th was an insurrection, it's not a funny title then. Like, he's giving away the whole game.
And it's a title you lost on. The public voted on that. Like that was the thing that, I mean, the public voted on so many things, but that issue didn't prove to be enough to get you across the finish line.
Nobody cares anymore because you all have stolen so much more. Okay. So that's the opposition party. We've got people yelling into the wind. Jasmine Crockett also, yelling about how we're not going to take it. Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries making funny little quips and taking people. The thing about taking people to the courts also, it is such a slow process that nobody's going to feel that. And honestly, I don't even know what they could be doing right now, but not forming a new committee.
You're going to take it to the courts. For one, the courts are now dominated by Republican judges.
Yeah. Remember when Schumer said we're going to approve all of Trump's federal judges so we can all go on vacation during the first regime?
And it's not that some of this stuff won't win in the courts. They will win a lot of this stuff in the courts.
2035.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the courts stopped a lot of Trump stuff eventually.
Right.
But none of this stuff is going to be escalated by any Republican judges. So it is going to be the slowest process in every area where a Democrat can't take the lead and push this case forward.
Right.
But like you said, that's like I'm at a bar and there's a Nazi.
Yeah.
And the Nazi is beating up my girlfriend.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I am taking you to court.
Yeah. That's not very nice, sir.
See you in court, buddy.
Yeah.
I will see you in court.
Sig Heil. We're going to call this the Sig Heil Amendment, and I am going to try to get you to stop
breaking the rules and norms by punching my girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so shamefully. I don't even want to say impotent because we know when they want something, they do it. They break rules all the time. God, even, now one of the things that so many people have complained about, of course, is that Democrats have rigged primaries for the last 3 major voting cycles, right? In one way or the other. In 2016, very clearly with the whole superdelegate stuff with Bernie. In 2020, when all of the corporate Democrats dropped out and got behind Biden. And then by not even canceling primaries, not even having a primary in 2024, and just putting somebody so unpopular at the head of the ticket, she couldn't even stay in the primaries in 2020.
Well, where they blew it, though, they should have stuck with Biden.
I mean, this guy
is the geniusness within the party.
His fingers on the pulse. Yeah. So he's saying that Biden would have won. And all of these people, just like all of us, knew in 2019 that Biden was already sundowning. But after that disaster of a debate,
and this is the outgoing DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, right?
Yeah.
He was privy to the knowledge that the Democratic Party's campaign, that Biden's campaign had, which was they were going to lose by 400 delegates, 400 electoral votes.
Yeah.
They were going to lose exponentially worse with Biden. So him saying that they could have won with him it's just gaslighting to correct the record, to pretend that it wasn't his fault or something. Like he didn't choose to switch to Kamala.
Yeah. Yeah. He was still right. He was on the winning team. The Biden team was the winning
The guy
team.
that lost his own election, who became the leader and then lost massive amounts, record numbers of house seats, congressional seats, Senate seats. They lost across the board in every area and is getting praised still by people.
Yep. The only person who I think lost more seats under her tenure, not as DNC, but as Speaker of the House, was Nancy Pelosi in 2010, right? Over 1,000 seats across the country. You just fail up in this game. And here's Kirsten Gillibrand saying that she signed a deal. She's going, or signaled that she is going to rig primaries for Senate candidates. So, they've learned nothing. They do not believe in democracy. And as much as they complain about Republicans who also don't believe in democracy, the hypocrisy thing doesn't really get anybody anywhere. So I know that's what we're always pointing out about Democrats, but it leaves nobody any place to go. And so people stay home. That's what happened. Okay. So.
We did confirm. This is the resistance, folks. Democrats confirmed Chris Wright as the energy secretary.
Okay. He's a fossil fuel guy. And Hickenlooper, isn't he one of the Democrats who's always talking about himself as like a climate guy? Gallego is supposed to be progressive.
Hickenlooper ran for president. People forget that. Bennett did as well. But Hickenlooper was the biggest joke in the election.
But some of these people talk about themselves as though they care about climate. Listen, a lot of the blue MAGA people who are blaming voters right now are equally angry at the Sunrise Movement or any climate activists, because look what Trump is doing. Well, if you're just look at Gaza, that is a climate disaster. Look at Nord Stream pipeline, probably the biggest moment of eco-terrorism that any of us will ever see. Both of those things happened under Biden.
And not to be a broken record, but it gets so old saying this again and again. But when is the time to talk about this stuff? Because it's never the time to talk about this stuff. It wasn't the time when we were saying you need to elect somebody who supports the environment, because this is important. If you guys want to win, listen to your voters, forgetting about actually saving the climate, just the sports team side of this. You can't win unless you switch your climate position to support the voters. But it's not the time. Okay, so now we lost. Well, no, don't talk about Democrats lost because they're bad on the.
They're not in office right now.
Exactly, because the midterms are coming. We got to take back seats. Don't criticize Democrats. And then as soon as the midterms are over, no, wait till we win the presidency in 2028. And then we can start putting pressure on the president to adopt the positions that we support. Don't force him in the primaries to take our position.
Do it when he has absolutely no necessity to listen to us, when he's already.
Yeah, they're going to magically win and put something on their platform that wasn't there beforehand.
Push them left.
Because that always works. The donors are always like, you know what? Do some more progressive stuff now that you won.
So as we were talking about, they tried to put together some, the oversight committee tried to get people together so they could subpoena Elon Musk. I don't know whose fault this was, but the fact that Gerald Connolly is this sort of doddering older guy with no, charisma, which, sorry, but if you're a politician, that's part of your job is to appeal to people and get them on your side. So they put together this slapdash vote, and they lost the ability to require Elon Musk to come in to testify by one vote, which was Ro Khanna, because he was already in another meeting. Why do they schedule meetings like this so last minute? This has been going on. Trump's been in power now for 2 weeks. We've known what the whole thing was going to be, right? Everybody's talking about Project 2025 forever. So why is a meeting put together so last minute that somebody who would be a guaranteed vote for what you want can't make it? And then it's like, no, well, we tried.
Yeah. And just last week, we showed the video of Schumer saying he was aroused. Which, goddamn it, that kills a boner more than do not come Nancy Pelosi or Kamala. But how do you not have a plan? Like, how are you just winging it you're watching what's happening? You knew Musk was going to come in here and do this stuff. If you're the resistance, you should have some sort of plan. Here's what we're going to do, guys. Yeah. But you're just meeting after meeting after meeting and doing nothing, and then missing. Like, did you miss this vote intentionally? Is this another intentional fail? Did you do that on purpose? It sure seems like it, because all you have to do is call fucking 20 senators,
Yeah.
Or Congress people.
And why are the Republicans always there? Because the same thing happened with the National Labor, the NLRB, right? Where before Biden left, they could have guaranteed another 2 years of at least, Democratic majority on that board. Nope.
And let me just to add something to a local piece to it. This, if you watch the video, I don't even know if we had the video, but
which one?
It's all based on rules and order. Like, there's a rules process with how you manage every organizing, Right. What's the name of is it Strunk? No, Strunk is writing. Anyway, there's a rules book that for how all these meetings are organized, and Democrats they know all the rules 1,000 times better than anybody else because they exclude progressives from things. And on a local level, they always are running these rules, and they're like, point subsection 17A, ostracize, you're out, kick them out of the meeting. Now you don't have enough progressives here. We win.
Yep.
Gavel.
It reminds me so much of the OSS, the precursor to the CIA, and the strategy of disruption, right? Like you always go by the rules, you schedule more meetings, you do everything by the book. You say, I agree with everything you're saying, but not the way you're saying it. Maybe you can phrase it differently. Like, think of all the Democrats who are like, I don't like defund the police. I think it's off-putting. But they said the same thing 4 years prior when it was Black Lives Matter. What do you mean? White lives matter? I think all lives matter, right? Like, they never like the wording. They never like any of it. We've got a few people in here. We've got Robert's
Rules of Order. That's what I was looking at. And the number one thing that they teach progressives on a local level, if you want to fight and try to work your way in to have any sort of power locally, is master Robert's Rules of Order, because it will be used against you in ways you did not see coming.
Yep.
And that's what they do. The Democrats do that exclusively to shut progressives out of things.
So we know they know how to fight because they do it all the time.
Yeah, that was my point.
No, it's true. And I think it's like so important because right now, all the rules are getting busted wide open. Okay, wait, if we're moving on to GOP, we should spin quickly just to give ourselves a little bit of relief, unless there's something specifically that that you wanted to show or talk about from the Dem stuff. I mean, there's so much. Yeah.
Look, the blame game, just examples.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin, he was a pundit forever. He's kind of he's on the outs, but he may be back. But
he's like a blue MAGA. Yeah.
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 I mean, this guy, you know, probably paid, I don't know, somebody's paying him for his shit. He was sort of taken on by the left as like, look at this guy. He makes pretty good progressive videos.
Yeah, he did. I think he was kind of a Bernie guy. And then he was with RFK Jr.
Yeah. And he's gone off the deep end now, but
but this is coming at it from like, I mean, I don't know what he considers himself. He probably like what MAGA communist kind of bullshit. I don't even know, but he did some great videos on like, you know, the mega corporations and like corruption. Right. So I think that is where a lot of people who I think followed RFK Jr., that was the appeal of RFK. Like, oh, we're going to, you know, expose the CIA. We're going to change the way, you know, the way they feed us here, the way we didn't have any oversight with Fauci. Like, I agree with those things, right? But
this is the example of the pipeline to the right that comes through people like Jimmy Dore. You know, they made the COVID their whole existence of mocking COVID. And now this guy, Ian Carroll, is latching onto the audience. I mean, some of it's probably authentic. I'm not saying it's entirely got to be some grift, right? But like, I don't know Bernie people that went right unless they followed COVID to the right, and that following COVID to the right went to RFK Jr., which then led to Tucker Carlson. And now this guy's like basically saying all this MAGA stuff is great because look what's happening.
Revolution. I mean, it is sort of a revolution, but it's not a good revolution.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, he's a I assume straight. I don't know. He feels like a straight guy, but he's a white guy with the podcast going, look, how are you not bearing witness to one of the most interesting and revolutionary moments in the last century of our nation? It's because he's not going to get harmed by this.
Yeah.
He especially isn't, because he puts this position out, which gets him a bigger right-wing audience. So he's safe as fuck with his income levels.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So that's exactly. So that's somebody, I mean, it is really sad to me how many people who I used to think were at least like in our sphere of solidarity have just gone so far right. This woman, however, is not one of those. She is like a, you know, corporate Democrat through and through. Julia Ioffe. Before meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, President Trump declared Palestinians had no alternative but to leave Gaza. Hope everyone is happy now that they got Genocide Joe out of office. So she wrote this yesterday, and it just kind of, there was like a flurry of these sorts of blame the uncommitted, blame the abandoned Biden, abandoned Harris. Hope you're happy. Look, can you imagine? He's just discussing ethnic cleansing when you had Biden and Harris continuing to spew the lie. Yeah. About, you know, Hamas's brutality and their terrorists, and that they raped women on October 7th, like systematic weapon of war rape. So
yeah, look, Trump's been in power for 2 weeks, right?
Right.
Roughly.
Yeah. Yeah.
We told you that what happens is the Democrats allow like a week or so of introspection, and they're like, just barf it out, get out your like, yeah, you didn't listen to us stuff, and pundits will come on TV and say, oh, you need to listen to voters. That shit disappeared faster than fucking ever. Yeah. Because they do this every cycle. This is not new. Yeah. They're like, and you're like,
more
you know,
like
look,
Bernie.
Look, that, you know, with Trump coming in, they're going to be very critical. No, they're not. It's back to the same game. Like, so if you think things change because of a certain leader or something. The parties are running this thing. They got the game down. We're locked out. The pundits are Democratic pundits are never going to be like progressive ever.
They're paid not to be. I will say, like, this is my own personal thing. So I'm an actress. I've been out here now, and I was acting in New York. I've been here forever. I'm of a certain age, so I've been doing this for decades. At this point, just like every other business, the talent agents have basically consolidated like into 2 or 3 agencies. 3: CAA, William Morris / Endeavor. Endeavor was run by, or is run by, Ari Emanuel, who is Zeke Emanuel's brother. They're just like, 3 disgusting brothers. But Zeke Emanuel is the one who's like, after 70 people, he was one of the high profile medical consultant kind of people in the NIH for Obama and Biden. But like after 70, you can kind of just go fuck off and die. He's one of those kinds of people. Right. I mean, they're just like
all by the wayside, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And Ari Emanuel is the real life horrible man who Jeremy Piven's character was based on in Entourage. And CAA. Those are the 3, like that UTA, CAA, brokers. William Morris Endeavor. Everybody out here is trying to get with one of those 3 agents. You are never young enough, skinny enough, popular enough, cool enough to get you're chasing it. And look who just signed with CAA. It just makes me like he can barely walk across a stage. What is he going to do with CAA? They're going to get him a $20 million book deal, but like fucking Biden. I didn't even know I was up for that. What? Was there an open call to sign with CAA? You can just fucking.
I can't imagine the scripts he's going to get. Okay, walk across the stage, put your hands out and turn.
Oh my God.
Got it. $500,000.
The lesson is no more acting classes. I don't need to learn any more accents. I need to do a genocide. That's the lesson. Do a genocide and drool into your soup and lick some ice cream. All right. Are we going to spin?
Yeah, let's spin it.
When all my worlds collide, it's really sad.
Yeah, baby.
What do we have for timeline? We got some weird. Let's show the weird stuff. Why not? Right, weird stuff.
Let's do it. Yeah.
You should probably start screening these before I just put them up here.
I really love it. Was that guy? Is he the one who does the tablecloth ones also? Right?
He's got a lot of weird stuff. The last guy, yeah.
He's talented. He should sign with CAA.
Right?
Yeah. Saul says that, yeah, that's right. Alyssa Milano and company supporting rapist, racist Joe Brandon. And Alyssa Milano's mom was one of my very first managers out here. Look at that.
She's one of my early crushes too, Alyssa Milano, which is so sad for me.
I mean, yeah, you never want to meet your heroes. Okay. Never. Okay. Yeah, Truth to Tweet definitely wants me to review your picks. No, I like that. I like it when we surprise each other with some of the stuff. It's pretty funny. All right, let's move into the Nazi stuff because it's just fucking wild that this is where we are right now. Like Elon Musk does, whether that's a Sig Heil or not, that he did twice at the inauguration, if it weren't, then you deny it right away. You're like, of course it's not. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was not my intention. I'm a little awkward, and I just was overcome, and my heart went out to people. Although, there were so many videos at the time that was like, a year before, when he was like, my heart goes out to you. Like, he knows how to do my heart goes out to you, and he chose to do something different. We all know the truth of it is, whether that was intentional or not, his post response to that was intentional, and he loves that he's doing this. Okay, so not only that, but now we have all the Doge stuff where they are shutting down. I mean, this is where things get so complicated, right? So they're shutting down or defunding, gutting USAID. USAID mostly is a CIA front that funds, American soft power in like funding foreign journals and some domestic journals.
It's the economic hitman support group.
Right.
And
it does some good stuff also, though.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the problem across the board with everything Trump's doing. You can criticize major things that need to be reformed in every group that's coming, that he's reforming or shutting down or taking over. But that's not the way you don't solve things by saying, hey, there's going to be no aid out to anybody. You can't have trans people in prison
take away all your pronouns, and
you can't just blankly, you don't solve anything that way. It's all punitive. It's all a handout to MAGA, and it's all a handover of the economy to Elon Musk and his billionaire buddies. It's happening in front of us so overtly. And yeah, as you're saying, like, there are problems with so many different government agencies. The way to fix it, and fine, like, strip out some of that money, but you do it like, this is where I want some meetings and oversight. This is where we want to see like total transparency. Why hasn't the Pentagon been able to pass a budget review for 6 years? I mean, trillions of dollars have just gone unaccounted for. We should have transparency. We should have democracy. Congress should be able to vote on where this money is going. So he's not solving any of that. He's not. But the takeover by Musk literally requires a physical response by a force. Like, you cannot allow this guy to have all the social security numbers and access that he's getting right now. We're done. Like, I mean, oligarchs are going to run this place forever. Like, they're going to use everything that Musk is gathering right now. He literally, they lock people out so he can illegally continue to gather information about the public.
Oh,
that's what's happening right now.
They're scraping
an unelected guy,
everybody's data. Okay, so this now I am going to have to put my my readers on, but they've done this in a few different departments. Elon Musk's staff has been caught plugging in hard drives inside the Office of Personnel Management, the Treasury Department, and General Services Administration. His staff encountered resistance when demanding that Treasury officials grant access to systems managing the flow of more than $6 trillion annually to programs like Social Security and Medicare. Tensions escalated when Musk's aides were discovered at OPM accessing systems, including a vast database known as the Enterprise Human Resources Integration, which contains sensitive information such as dates of birth, Social Security numbers, performance appraisals, home addresses, pay grades, length of service for government employees. In response to employees speaking out, Musk's aides locked civil servants out of computer systems and offices with reports of personal items being searched. I mean, I know we all make fun of the rules and norms Democrats, which I do, and I think they use it, as we were talking about, like only to shut down the left. That's the only reason that they love all those norms. But this is frightening, and nobody is doing anything about it. And also, like, even this, I don't know, I don't even know who wrote this meme. These are 4 of the actual people who Musk is employing to do this work. These are all like, data hacker people. Oh, look at you. Amazon piss
Shout
jokes.
out to Amazon piss jokes. I
Love
don't know what the
you.
JW stands for, but we love you, man.
Yeah. So here they put it out. Akash Baba, Luke Ferrator, and these are brilliant young guys who have done, can do computer programming and stuff, like run circles around. I mean, certainly me, but anyway, Ethan Chautron, Edward Kurstein, I don't even know. Anyway, all of these people, and then two more. The U.S. Treasury pays for Social Security, Medicare, grants, federal salaries. And this is where I just want to fuck, what are you doing? And is usually run by grown-ups. Ugh, mamas, come get your babies out of our government, because the grown-ups in the room have done such a fantastic job. Anyway, but yeah, so they're just running, what is it, roughshod? What's the expression? You think
unchecked,
unchecked,
that none
gathering
of those
data
is really approved by legal measures. There's
it's just a random,
Congress is supposed to approve every drop of funding. The president doesn't have any authority to approve funding,
the purse, right?
The expenses. So he can say we need a Doge, but then Congress has to say, let's give Doge $17 billion, or
No, because Musk is so wealthy, he doesn't need anybody's money. That's what's so great about him.
Yeah, but that, I mean, the real problem right now is conflicts of interest with Musk. That's the clear problem. It's why is he authorized to be in this position? He has these conflicts of interest. They're not challenged. It's breaking all the emoluments clauses. There are other.
He's going to self-investigate. He's going to conduct his own.
So, when these idiots are saying it's not fascism, what's fascism? Consolidating the government under the executive branch
and businesses.
That's one of the classic
and government. That's it.
That's a marker right there. Consolidating. Yeah. The other mark of fascism is shutting down freedom of the press. Well, you're not shutting it down, but the guy running everything runs the biggest press site of the public. The public square is run by the guy breaking all the fucking laws now.
Yep.
So that's another one.
4 years ago, when what's his face, Trump was banned from Twitter before Musk was there, liberals were fine with that. It's a private platform. No, it's the public square. They were, Cambridge Analytica stealing all of our data, which happened under Meta, Facebook, Zuckerberg. All of these billionaires, there are no good ones. You don't get to be a billionaire by being a good person, but this is the total merging of business and government. That's fascism, and that's what's happening. And they are
it's consolidating power. It's bringing in oligarch friends and everybody at the top benefiting. It's you can't have 100 executive orders that are more clearly consolidating power under fascism than the first 100 we saw.
Yeah. Yep.
And blaming, the other part of fascism is targeting groups, finding people to blame, which is it's always the disabled, the elderly, the immigrants, the others.
Yeah. The DEI, where you can just basically, yes, all of those, but I just hear the N-word when I hear them say DEI, because I feel like it's all,
that's what DEI means.
That's what it is, right? So they shut down any website of a government agency that talked about, LGBTQ plus rights, that had the CDC, anything that was there that had people's pronouns, anything that they could find that was at all under the umbrella of DEI. Everything just needs to be white men and the women who sleep with them, I guess, and the white women who sleep with them.
And the point of that isn't that they even care about that shit. Some of their voters do, and that's the real distraction in this. But the point of that stuff is so that you don't see the stuff over here where they're getting all the oligarchs riff, where they're just consolidating power. They're getting rid of OSHA. There's no more safety standards. All their construction buddies are going to get fucking filthy rich. Trump's tower is going to be built with no regulations at all. Yep.
That said, though, there is a striking number of these candidates for the cabinet who have very strong ties to the alt-right and white nationalists, right?
Oh.
So, here's Hegseth, and he was just like a Fox, commentator, anchor, whatever they call it over there. So Pete Hegseth, with his Christian Crusader tattoos on his body, 2 Crusader tattoos, a Jerusalem cross, the symbol of the Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem on his chest, and Deus Vult, the Creator's theological creedicor, God wills it, on his bicep. Deus Vult means God mandated Crusaders violence. So that's right.
You know what's wild to me? I swear to God, I think that guy was put up there to be the one to fail so that Democrats could say they did something. It was a handout from Republicans to Democrats. I think that's what he was there for. And the Democrats are so bad and so powerless that it's probably a clean sweep of his entire fucking cabinet. Yeah. And this guy was the first. Everybody was saying, well, he's probably not going to make it. And here he is.
His own mother can't stand him.
Made it. The Nazi got through. So you think you're stopping the other guys if you didn't save your power as Democrats to stop the fucking literal Nazi who's going to run our military?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So there's Hegseth running the military. Here is Kash Patel, who is up for head of the FBI. Sorry, testified he couldn't recall off the top of his head who Holocaust denier Stu Peters is, despite having appeared on his podcast 8 times.
Wow.
Okay, so there's another one. Then we have Russell Vought, who, more perfect union. And this is, oh my God, oh my gosh. Who worked, well, he worked with Bernie, the guy who sent this out. And I know a lot of us.
Rashid?
No, shoot. Somebody in the comments is going to get it for me. He just ran for DNC chair also. All right. It doesn't really matter because I agree with the rest. Say again.
Zogby?
No, he's good. No,
he ran for chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think he was running for under. It's not Zed. All right. I will get there. I promise. I just need to look at my email. Okay. So
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Had one of the Project 2025 architects who is being put up as director of the Office of Management and Budget, which we know. Yeah.
I think Doug got it.
Yes. Feds. Shakir. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So all of these people are awful. Then one of Trump's speechwriters from his first regime, this guy, Darren Beattie, who was fired after it was revealed, fired in the first administration, after it was revealed that he had gone to a white supremacist rally, spoke at like a convention of the H.L. Mencken, like white supremacist or white nationalist people, right? But then not only that, he was brought back and assigned to, and this is where it all gets so weird and complicated and frightening to me. He's Jewish. He parties, hangs out, socializes with white supremacists / neo-Nazi adjacent. Was put in charge of what's the thing called? The Holocaust, this Holocaust Remembrance Day. He wants to thank Donald J. Trump for the honor of serving on the U.S. Commission for the Preservation of American Heritage Abroad. Okay, so this he was still doing under Biden until Biden, to his credit, a year and a half in, finally forced his resignation. But his main job in this role, the U.S. Commission for the Preservation of American Heritage Abroad, is preserving Holocaust memorials and sort of, trying to get them going internationally. He was so atrocious that even the ADL back in 2020 called on Trump to rescind that appointment. But now, because they're down with Trump, they have taken away that page on their website that 4 years ago had called for the rescinding of this appointment. This guy, who is Jewish and very pro-Israel, is also disgustingly pro-white and anti-black, as evidenced by several of his tweets. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, well, no, his preserve Americans abroad, the Jewish thing. It is now preserve whiteness. Like, it is so clear that this guy is a fucking racist piece of shit.
Yeah.
And where are the Democrats on this? They can't say anything because Biden let him cruise through a couple years. Well, they should be. He's the clearest case that Trump is bringing in white power people. And the reason he's probably bringing it in, I think they recognize that there's going to be a fight in this country. We're going to have some real clashes. And so all this stuff is both the distraction from the real thing that they want, which is the wealth. They want to extract the wealth from the public. So they keep it a race war. The race war comes out to fight the blue-haired progressives that don't know how to fight. And we're just a bunch of pansies and whatever you want to say.
Guilty.
So but that's where this thing's going to live. And the Democrats aren't going to put up any fight themselves. So it's up to us.
Right.
And so it's going to be us against the Nazis. I mean, that's kind of
it really is.
how
but
I
it's
see
also,
the world coming.
I agree with you. It is also was set up on some level by Democrats who pretended that giving weapons and money to neo-Nazi Azov battalion and right sector in Ukraine, whatever you think about provoked, unprovoked, Russia should never have invaded, all of that stuff. There were decades where it was a firm commitment from the US that we weren't giving weapons to the neo-Nazis in Ukraine. And that all changed. They weren't really so bad. Even Jon Stewart was like greeting and hanging out with the guy who, they had to cover him up because every time they showed him in short sleeves, he had a different Nazi tattoo showing, and Jon Stewart was like, giving him hugs at Disney World or something because we were all supposed to support everything about Ukraine, even their neo-Nazis, right? Some of whom were the same people who helped train some of the January 6th insurrectionists, or who also had been sought their advice, whose advice had been sought by some of the Unite the Right people who were, doing their, flames down in Charlottesville where they killed Heather Heyer, right? So like, this is unfortunately all intertwined. Also, in 2021, Biden came in and set up his whole list of domestic violent extremists. And one of the main people that he, or main groups that he put up there, oh, wow, this is so small, were anti-government people, anti-capitalist people, animal rights, environmental. I mean, this... or how about like the nonprofit organizations that are defunded if you say that they're terrorists, which could be anybody who's pro-Palestine.
I think that's the thing. So all the feckless pieces of legislation that meant nothing that were passed under Democrats for things like that had no power behind them, but they're basically a broad brush to say it's okay to go after protesters on the issues, that all happened under Democrats. These symbolic, like, protesters are bad votes. And so here we are again, Trump finishing the job that you fucking started, Democrats. You started this stuff. You got the ADL removing this guy. They're scrubbing this white supremacist proof from their own website. And he's so clearly white supremacist.
Oh God, he's disgusting.
I mean, I don't want to let him off the hook without showing some of his shit. So,
yeah.
Sorry if I'm taking us backwards.
No, I want to, because it's all intertwined. Like, this is a Jewish guy who's pro-Israel. You want me to read it? All right, I'll put my readers back on.
I'll put my readers on too.
Competent white men must be in charge. And this was, by the way, this was 4 months ago. If you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. a month or a couple months before that. I don't know about you, but I don't think we've heard enough complaining from women and minorities. A couple months before that. The entire purpose of this nation is to coddle the feelings of women and minorities. Looking at you in 1750. No, okay. Agonizing to think of what could be possible if such undignified and lowbrow nannyism were abandoned. That's, one group of tirades of his. Here's another. He really likes to tell Black men to know their place. Tim Scott needs to learn his place and take a knee to MAGA. Ibram Kendi X, or whatever, needs to learn his place and take a knee to MAGA. Learn his proper role in our society. BLM must take a knee to MAGA. They must learn their place. Kay Cole James of Heritage Foundation needs to learn her natural place and take a knee to MAGA. So,
but see, they love him, and he's a part of this now because it matches so well with what they're going to do. They're going to blame DEI, obviously. It went right into the plane stuff. The planes, we heard all these videos of Charlie Kirk. What's that his name?
Yeah, I think,
people like that the right-wing pundits are all pushing this. Well, I don't know about you, but I feel if I don't see a white guy that, with a chiseled chin flying my plane, I don't feel that safe,
Right.
And so that's what we were, and right from the fucking podium, Trump is like saying this stuff about the plane crashes are DEI. And it goes right to what this guy is saying, which is the perfect message to distract people from all the corporate, from also just the fact that the planes are a mess. Like, they're not going to want to spend on it. They're going to solve the problem by just shutting out people of color and minorities and, and having all whites running the nation.
Yeah. Planes are, Boeing is getting to do its own quality control, and it has its own people on the FAA. So, anytime that you have to, I examined, what is it? We inspected I inspected myself, and I find I'm perfect. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Fires the head of the TSA. They want to privatize everything. We already know that there are some places that are completely missing, like military bases that are completely missing air traffic controllers because they need to privatize it. But it's not always profitable. The services that we need from our government often don't turn a profit, like the post office doesn't turn a profit.
I don't want my letter to cost $3 more. Yeah. Like, do
food
you want
inspection doesn't turn a profit. Public health doesn't necessarily, you're not going to make bank. I mean, unless you're Fauci, whatever. But government is not supposed to be a business. It's supposed to take care of its citizens. That's the point.
It's kind of the point. Is just, this is a service that we can get from our taxes, or not our taxes, just from the government. If you're an
it's an investment in a healthy society.
Right. And if it was actually if it was running like a business, it would extract more money from us every year, because that's what we demand of businesses. And that's what's literally happening, because we're letting these oligarchs run government.
But if it were true, and we all know
Trump, not just Trump, I'm just saying Biden,
I was just saying, if it were truly what they always say, that capitalism, the best rises to the top, and, people will go, business will change if a lot of normie Dems will be like, if people had really wanted Bernie, they would have voted for him. It's like, no. But just the way Elon only fails up and has tens of billions of dollars of government contracts, just the way that Trump has how many bankruptcies? 7, and gets bailed out. Just the way Bezos and Walmart underpay their people while getting government grants, and the same people that he gets a grant to hire and underpay then have to go to the government again to help for food or Section 8 housing or whatever. These mega billionaires are constantly getting government handouts. It's not like the free market. They're playing with the house's money. So but that's not right. So it's the same thing though with our government. You can't say listen, if people really like Bernie's policies, they just would have shown up more. Really? Because there are lots of places where they showed up and they were 200,000 in Brooklyn were scrubbed from the rolls. Or Bernie wins a state, but then the super delegates all go to Hillary. Like, there are ways that the system decides who the winner is going to be, and that's always the winner. The House is always the winner.
The House is always the winner. And if you have a society where, look, we're not going to be socialists, right? Let's just say we're not socialists, we're not communism, we're just going to be free for all. The one thing that the public expects is the core level of safety and the rock bottom safety net, and all of that's getting stripped right now. All of it is getting stripped right now. I mean, when you remove OSHA standards, like, that's the one thing Americans were good at for a while, is you knew there was continuity, and you ate a McDonald's burger, it would have these certain standards. You could eat a McDonald's burger and expect this. You could buy this product and expect
Like
this
FDA,
safety level.
like FDA said, like food,
Right.
right?
FDA, food, all these things, but they've all been so,
They've been
you
so
know, when
strict.
you remove OSHA, which is literally just fucking basic safety
Workplace
standards, it's not
safety,
even
yeah.
enough. It's just the protections of safety,
Which,
so you don't die as a worker.
thank
And
you, Biden.
you're going to sell me this idea that Trump is a man of the people when he's stripping, you know, it's just so ludicrous on its face, but they cover it all because at least he's doing the white supremacist shit we want.
Yeah, I don't know how long that's going to last. I
don't
really
either.
do wonder, because this, you know, just the way when Biden came in and took away all COVID protections, OSHA protections, for a year, didn't alert the United States that bird flu was ravaging one state's farm after another, right? Those, like, that is the way they work in tandem. And so, yeah, now here comes Trump. He's doing it all in a much more grotesque, obvious way, but he wouldn't be able to do it without the complicity of Democrats. He just wouldn't. So, yeah.
He wouldn't. And, you know, all the Democratic donors are the same people benefiting from all this evilness being put out there. So, you know, at best, you're going to get some sort of rhetorical pushback, but where's the actual pushback? They don't want it because, hey, Schumer, if you actually pass this legislation, I'm not donating to Democrats for the next 4 years. And they're like, whoa, well, we'll just put up a little fake fight. Don't worry, it's not going to happen. We'll have a couple people miss the vote on the committee, and we tried really hard.
We got to do everything by the norms. Okay. So wait, sorry. I just want to make sure that we're not missing any of that before we get to Project Esther, which is really gross. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. All right, let's just start with Project Esther, which is another part of Project 2025, which, again, even though Heritage Foundation's been around for over 50 years and Project 2025 was Project 2021, was Project 2017. Like, I mean, they have a project. Heritage Foundation has a project. Their project is so great that Hope and Change took their health plan in 2010, right? So, like, where's the Democratic one? It doesn't matter, because actually they're both kind of the same and they're fine with it. So Project Esther is the thing where now, what's his name? Trump is wanting to get rid of anybody who is pro-Palestinian, any student he's going to deport if they're here illegally, but if they protested because they were pro-Palestine, which has now become pro-Hamas, which has now become pro-terrorist, which Democrats were fully on board for all of this under Biden, getting rid of, university presidents and condemning free speech and saying that, Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton saying that these people were useful idiots for Iran and Russia and outside infiltrators. But so now even the Forward, which pretends to be, it's like the liberal Jewish newspaper, Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, developed both Project 2025 and Project Esther, which is meant to address anti-Semitism in the United States by cracking down on so-called Hamas support network of anti-Zionist organizations and liberal foundations. If you're concerned about Project 2025, the conservative Heritage Foundation's sweeping illiberal agenda for a second Trump administration, then you need to take a hard look at Project Esther. It proposes a public-private plan for dismantling any domestic group that supports Palestinian rights, which they call the Hamas Support Network. The plan's first targets are pro-Palestinian organizations like Students for Justice in Palestine, American Muslims for Palestine, and Jewish Voice for Peace. But that's just the start. Project Esther has its sights on what it describes as a much broader coalition of leftist progressive organizations such as Open Society Foundations, Tides Foundations, and numerous others. It calls for using tools including anti-terrorism and anti-racketeering criminal prosecution, deportations, public firings, removal of tax-exempt status, blocking of funding, and campaigns to sow discord within movements to disrupt and degrade these organizations. And just as a reminder, many of these things started during Biden's regime, right? That whole domestic violent extremist list was primarily targeting the left, the people who were pro-climate, who were anti-capitalist. The racketeering charges against the socialist, African socialists. My brain is not
I don't know where you're going with that.
But called terrorist, and then they do racketeering charges. They did racketeering charges against people who were fighting cop cities. Like they want to shut down. It's why AIPAC, even before October 7th, when there was real, vocal outrage against Israel's apartheid and then genocide. But before that, they were already targeting Nina Turner and the candidate in Buffalo, any socialist, any progressive Black candidates. They targeted them. AIPAC did. It's all part and parcel of the same project to destroy the left.
AIPAC and the Democratic Party are in sync to destroy progressives. So like when you think Kamala would be better, we're here because Kamala was not better. We're here because they enabled this by not running anything.
That's right. But also helping set up some of these things. Because that bill that passed of like the terrorists, the 501c3 groups that they said who were, terrorist organizations, we're going to defund them. That was under Biden.
The bills passed, and the bills that were just symbolic, like, they were symbolic, but you can't come back from all the Democrats passing a symbolic bill attacking all the activists and labeling them anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Because you just handed over Trump, hey, go after them because we think they were bad too.
Yeah.
And Jen Perlman, just said she ran on joy. Joy does not beat. Where's the joy? Where's the joy now? You would think the Democrats would act like this is so terrible. We shouldn't have joy. But all they do at their DNC convention, they're doing the line dances, all fucking joying it up. They still are not putting up a drop of a fight. And Hassan Piker fan, I don't even know what to say to this dude. Like,
just ignore it, whatever. Yeah.
Should I ignore it? I don't know. But
I can't read fast enough to see. I will say there's just because I don't do this all the time, but you just got to hear. Apparently, I don't know about what, but everybody thinks you were right about.
I don't know what I said, but it was spot on.
But yeah, she ran on joy, and where's the joy in Gaza? But then also. She ran on Xanax. It's funny. Yeah. I mean, it is a bipartisan effort to get rid of the left. And thank you. Sorry, I'm going to go back. I think it was Saul, but I just always want to give people credit.
Did he say I was right too?
No, but he reminded me. But
I will get your vote.
But yes, this was bipartisan. saying that students who were putting everything on the line, getting beaten by Zionists and cops, losing the ability to graduate, being threatened with deportation. I mean, that was in democratic cities and democratic states at very institutions like my alma mater, Columbia, who for a period of time, and I don't know if it's still there, but
I don't know how we block. How do we block? What do I?
Wait, are you trying
Sorry,
to?
I'm kidding, but Saul. God damn it,
but wait, Saul, I think isn't Saul the person who 2 years ago I by accident blocked him?
Exactly, Saul.
Yeah,
that was not an accident.
That was a total
I'll tell you the story behind the scenes. It was no accident.
But this outrage at people who are protesting and putting their lives and bodies on the line against a genocide. There's no worse crime than genocide.
No, and the Democrats are 1,000% equally behind all the cop cities, which Trump is now going to leverage against all of fucking us.
Yep.
All of those protesters are going to be up
all
against
the money.
Cities.
The money
that and Nazis are going to be our
and
nemesis.
They train, these people train with IDF, the same techniques that they use to kill George Floyd, to kill who was selling the Eric Garner. They learned those techniques in their little Gaza. Cop cities are like the little Gaza. And actually all of these huge weapon industry CEOs brag about how they are developing AI and weapons. They're training on real life people in Gaza. So it is.
They're doing that. And the whole Ukraine war is the first massive use of AI technology. More people were killed by drones in Ukraine than ever before, and robots and all sort of tech that we're not even informed about at all right now. But it was not a civilian on civilian fight in Ukraine.
No,
it was a testing ground for all the military industrial complex. Loved that fight, and they still do. But that part might be over. But that means we just go on to the next one, which is Afghanistan, the West Bank, more genocides,
Iran,
top cities.
Yeah, top city. I mean, it's all coming back here, which is, Norm Finkelstein has been so clear. He's been such a voice of clarity for me from October 7th, where he made the correlation of, Hamas breaking through. And he said, it's like the Polish, the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. It's like the Nat Turner revolt. People might do horrific acts as they are fighting for their freedom. But that, to focus on that moment, Nat Turner is considered a hero. The Polish, the Warsaw uprising of Jews battling Nazis those are heroes. Even if they harmed some people. And now, obviously, we're learning so much about what actually happened on that day and how many of the victims were actually killed by the IDF and the Hannibal Directive. But that has been really clarifying. His writing about the Holocaust industry also, and how the Holocaust has been used as a shield for Israel to carry out these atrocities. And it's one of the reasons that he is being targeted by this group, which is, and again, all these groups work together. This Beitar group, which, just like the Canary Mission and AIPAC and the ADL and the Beitar group, they are trying to target and terrorize anybody who speaks out against Israel. This is what they did to Norm Finkelstein on the street just this week, which, they should all be hauled off, I think. But here we go.
Norman, how's it going? I got you a pager. Want a pager, Norman?
Jews were known for being smart.
Here's your pager, Norman. You know, it's fucking Holocaust denier, you piece of shit.
Holocaust denier? Like, how does that even... They're just creating a narrative that's utterly false.
I mean, his whole family, apart from his parents, were slaughtered in the Holocaust. He talks about it all the time, but he doesn't want it used as justification to commit a new Holocaust against a group of people who are being held hostage, you know, and we'll get to what Trump was saying with Netanyahu yesterday. But Trump has basically let slip, as the Lancet reported several months ago, that it's more like 300,000 to 600,000 people who have been killed.
Oh, the numbers are so off. I mean, it's what we knew. We all knew this was happening. Our government's been full of shit. And so, as always, he's coming in to finish the job. And finishing the job to him is, how do we extract capital for our personal benefit and our friends? And so it's going to be get the Palestinians out. Let's do a slow rebuild. It's going to make his family and buddies billions and billions of dollars. That's the plan.
You know, first of all, I know we all know this and we all agree that it's, of course, Palestinian land and they're the ones who deserve to be there. There's like the small part of me finding the silver lining because, you know, I'm so positive. No, I'm kidding. But like, I sort of felt the same when, you know, number 7. Oh my God, you guys, my brain is really just not great. Took a knee. Colin Kaepernick, thank you. It comes. I just need to like think through it in different ways.
What was the voice? What does the guy sound like who told you that? Because you're like,
I know. I was like, number 7. I actually went as Colin Kaepernick for one Halloween. But like
blackface, like all progressives.
Definitely no, but I got his jersey. But oh my God. But like there was this little part of me that's like, it's disgusting he's being blackballed from the NFL. They're all that's horrible, racist, billionaire, white organization, but at least he won't get brain damage from getting tackled all the time, you know. And so it's like, well, yeah, go ahead, fucking Kushner and Miriam Adelson, go into this toxic environment where your food and your air and your water are all of the refuse of the bombs that Biden gave, like, you know. But it's horrible. Of course, the whole thing is horrible. And Justin, I just wanted to say, yeah, I mean, you know, Norm is not great on everything. So I agree with you that there are times that he says things that make me want to melt into the ground. But the other person that they did,
not to defend him on any of those issues. The one thing about people that will agree with on a certain issue and disagree with is that he's authentic in his beliefs, or we wouldn't be sharing the side that we believe in. I disagree entirely on the LGBT stuff with him, LGBTQ plus stuff. But
I don't. I mean, like I know he'll say things, and I like he really hates the whole like woke da da da. Like, unfortunately, it's the same thing I feel like that happens with COVID, where people are like the anti-COVID protection people will say things like it was the biggest transfer of money, you know, in a century or ever. I don't even know. And they're right. And that's disgusting. And, you know, all of those loans that went out and that were then forgiven, and the number of people who were either forced to go to work and die, like it was all, the way it was handled was an abomination. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't lock down when there is like a deadly pandemic, or that people shouldn't wear masks, or that we shouldn't, you know, keep people home from work or school when they're sick, or like, so I think Norman Finkelstein, being in academia, has dealt with a lot of the worst sort of like most neoliberal sides of tokenization politics. I think probably, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit, that's where his animosity comes from, is that it was used as a cudgel against him in a way that was probably unfair. I don't know, and I don't know enough about his true beliefs of anything, but it always seems to come out in the way he was treated in academia, which, you know, has a long history of, you know, of loving to use, you know, affirmative action or DEI politics to shut down truly sort of like progressive economic broad-based class politics, where they should both, I mean, you need both parts of that. Neither one should be shut down. But I think, unfortunately, he sometimes goes the other way. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say before we spin again or whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm not defending him on anything.
Yeah. But I mean, I really admire him. I'm so grateful to so much that he's awakened me to.
Absolutely. Amen.
They also did the same thing. I just said really quickly, because we're just on this Beattie. They did the same thing to Peter Beinart, who, like, you know, he just has come out with a book. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard a bunch of his interviews. I've just ordered the book. But, you know, he is a very observant Jewish man who has been very vocal about Israel's genocide and how the Holocaust is being used as a justification, and how somehow Israel has tried to make it like, oh, what Hamas did on October 7th was a pogrom against Jews, which it wasn't. I mean, it was a terrorist attack or an attack or whatever, but it's not a pogrom like that. You know, the people who have all the power is Israel. So it's not a pogrom. It is a group of people who are being dominated and occupied, who are fighting for their liberation. And because he says that, they also want to do the whole pager thing with him, this Beattie group. So, yeah.
And look, none of this would happen if we had a press that cared about anything. Like, even if it was really about ratings, like the story is right there in front of you that a lot of this narrative has been promoted by Frank Luntz 20, 30 years ago. He put a roadmap out to how the media should handle this. And they're like 10,000 quotes of the media and politicians following his script that the press can just say, hey, look, this is all, look at this. Is this curious to you? Does the public, what do you think about this? If they show that, let the public decide, but they don't want to, they won't, they're bought. We know this. So we'll spin.
Yeah. And that's why, like, people
cry.
are like, we should get rid of religion or race doesn't matter or whatever. Like, sure, all of that. But the truth is, in the end, and I'm not a class reductionist, because I do, obviously there is racism and sexism and ableism and all of that. But the people who are pathologically greedy for power and money, they're going to find something no matter, like, that's just their, like, what you're like, that's just the tactic in. That's not the end goal. Like, you know, the fact that you've got India's Modi and Brazil's Bolsonaro both loving apartheid Israel, even though they're probably huge anti-Semites also, right? Like, it's not about, it's about the supremacy of the people in power.
Right. But the woke thing, you can't, just because these marginalized groups are being weaponized as a distraction doesn't mean they're not getting harmed by all this stuff. So we have to keep fighting for those issues 100%. And dropping the fight for them is how you get fascism. Saying we can just let all the disabled people fall by the wayside because the disease is going around, instead of, you know, wear a mask and maybe capitalists lose 0.2% on their real estate value. Maybe we do that instead if we actually protect the people we care about. And you're not going to get communism or socialism if you stop protecting these people, you fucking cosplaying cowards online. You gave up on the vulnerable as soon as you could under Biden, you fucking losers.
100% agree. Pat,
let's
you're
spin
right.
So I could be less salty.
Yeah, baby.
Look at that. Just in time. I'm kind of empty. Okay, but I'm going to remove one of those so we can spin again. 1 second. Remove.
Yeah, baby.
We're working on new wheel segments also, just so we've got a little extra stuff.
Changes are coming.
Oh my God. Okay.
All Lila knows how to do is drink, though. Apparently. Good job. I appreciate it. I'm enjoying my beer. Another shout out
I am too.
to the unsponsored Shredco in Sacramento.
Yeah, baby.
Timeline cleanse. It's timeline cleanse. It's timeline cleanse.
Is it? All I have is a wholesome one, but we need some art. So this guy's got some The funny thing is, this guy has so many cooler things than that are in this video. So check him out, Brian Detmer.
That's amazing. That's such small work. Oh my God, my eyes. I can barely see regular writing. That's really cool though. I like that a lot.
Honestly, look him up because I mean, if you like creative art, it's really wild the stuff he does. And like that was the tamest of the stuff. That's all I could find in the video. So
look a little harder, Pat.
I only got so much time for this.
All right. So this was Trump with I mean, honestly, I cannot believe that Netanyahu is in our country getting his 7 extra suitcases of laundry done at the White House. International war criminal actively committing a genocide. Like, I'd love for Democrats to have talked about that instead of helping provide cover for him. But okay. Anyway, this, just in case anybody hadn't seen it, is the Trump plan.
Peter? Would Palestinians have the right to return to Gaza if they left while the rebuilding was happening?
It would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return. Why would they want to return? The place has been hell. It's been one of the meanest, toughest places on earth. And right now, I've seen every picture from every angle, better than if I were there. And nobody can live there. You can't live there. So if we can build them through massive amounts of money supplied by other people, very rich nations, and they're willing to supply it. If we can build something for them in one of the countries, and it could be Jordan, it could be Egypt, it could be other countries, and you could build 4 or 5 or 6 areas. It doesn't have to be one area, but you take certain areas and you build really good quality housing, like a beautiful town, like someplace where they can live and not die, because Gaza is a guarantee that they're going to end up dying. The same thing's going to happen again. It's happened over and over again, and it's going to happen again as sure as you're standing there, Peter. So I hope that we could do something where they wouldn't want to go back. Who would want to go back? They've experienced nothing but death and destruction. Who would want to?
I have 4 follow-up questions.
4?
Why do they keep dying there again? Why is it so bad there? What the fuck? And honestly, it's the reason the whole establishment hates him. Because he's just as grotesque as they all are, but he just says it out loud. No, they're going to keep dying because the guy right here on my right is going to keep fucking slaughtering them.
This guy right here on my right, who's told the whole world they run the most benign, kind, targeted attacks,
the
most moral military in the world, and he's sitting there, and the next president is admitting that the entire country is flattened and fucked.
Yeah.
And here he is just smugly smirking like, I don't give a shit. Like, we're getting what we want. It doesn't matter that there's hypocrisy here. Yeah. And the media isn't going to call him out and say, they're not calling out Trump or Netanyahu.
Like,
it's a continuation.
Site. Why is it a demolition site?
Yes.
Why are
exactly.
they gonna keep dying there?
How is this
Why
the
does it keep
situation?
happening? Yeah. I think Netanyahu was shocked by that, because the way Trump was talking, like, there was no diplomacy. It wasn't like, listen, we have to get rid of Hamas, and that was really horrible, but we do care about, like, there was no sort of tempering his language. It was like, no, they're going to keep dying because this guy keeps killing them. Israel doesn't want to exist with its neighbors, and we got to get rid of them. And then plus, my son-in-law really wants beachfront property. It's a gorgeous area. Who wouldn't want to be here? So the good news is Egypt and Jordan, who are always the ones who are called on to take Palestinian refugees, have said no. They will not help in the ethnic cleansing. And Saudi Arabia, who really has the economic might, has absolutely said, and let's see what happens, because it's not like they care about Palestinians, but because they are worried about their own people possibly overthrowing their regime, are sticking hard to the fact that their position on the establishment of a Palestinian state is firm and unwavering. So that was the statement given by the Foreign Ministry of Saudi Arabia. It's just so,
look,
yeah.
I don't want to get into economics too much, but like, nothing we're doing makes sense for us as a country long-term economically. It's all short-term profit transactional for Trump and the oligarchs around him.
Right.
That's it. And so
Israel's long-term, having Israel as an outpost in the Middle East, that is the long-term colonial project, because that allows easier shipping and trade and not having to, like, right?
But yeah, but that's the stated long-term goal.
Right.
But the real long-term goal with our government as it is run is find a reason to ship and make and resupply weapons. And that's the reason that matters, because if you want world peace, you don't get it by supporting Israel in a genocide among 20 countries that hate Israel justifiably.
Wait, but who's even talking about world peace? Oh, did Trump say peace? Who's even talking? Like, has anybody talked about world? Like, it's so crazy. We don't talk about world peace.
But that's the stated reason for the military support of Israel. Like, that's why we're backing Israel, because brown people bad, and
right.
We need weapons.
They're all terrorists. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you really want, nothing we've done with Israel has made us safer in the world. We've told every ally we have to fuck off unless you do something economically that's going to benefit the Trump organization and all of his oligarch buddies. Yep. We are as unsafe in the world as we've ever been.
We are. And if you care about Jews and anti-Semitism, Jews are also. Not that that's like the biggest concern of this genocide, but like, if even for the people who pretend that that's the thing, Jews aren't safe in Israel for sure. But like, this is horrifying. Biden has made, under him, Jews became the face of the 21st century genocide. That doesn't make anybody safer.
He did, and the Democratic Party did as well. So, if you're a Democrat saying, "Oh, look what you got. This is what you got," well,
yeah, those people are sick. Actually,
what's your defense of it? I mean, Trump is actually being honest when he says this place is unlivable. Like, that's accurate.
It is. It is. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is like, everything he said was accurate, except for like then the final thing. Like, he thinks everything's transactional, and he doesn't, because he has no attachment to anything. Nothing real has value to him, right? Palestinians want, like, if you want to relocate Palestinians, let them go into Israel. If you want to relocate them during the whole, like, we've got to clear all the rubble out, rebuild, you say, okay, here's a great investment. This is all horrifying, but like, we're going to have a huge job opportunity. We're going to pay people to Palestinians to rebuild. We have billions of dollars coming in, like the way BlackRock wants to do in Ukraine, right? But we're not selling it off for parts. It's your land. You can go home to Israel. You can live there because it's not safe here. That would solve a lot of problems. But no, that's not
instead,
even on the table.
I mean, what they're pitching might be a livable solution for Palestinians, right? You know, somewhere else, you're safe, whatever. But like you said, the empathetic solution is, this is your home. Here's some place in Israel. Everybody has to coexist, whatever. But disaster capitalism, what's happening is Trump is going to mandate that there's certain areas somewhere else gets built. The contracts for all these houses or whatever it is are all going to go to his buddies. And one way or another, he or his buddies are going to be slumlords over this new shitty location that is 1/10 of what he promised it to be.
Yep.
It's just like the Clinton Foundation in Haiti with we're going to come in and rescue everybody. Don't donate to any other organizations for aid. Give it all to the Clinton Foundation. And what we'll do is we'll put up some moldy tents that the whole fucking country hates us for. The contract will go to my brother-in-law.
Slavery. Yeah.
You know, and the country will hate us forever. But look at all the trillions of dollars we extracted from the U.S. government and the public because they donate to our fucking We're the Good Guys Bill Clinton Foundation.
Yeah. I know we're not getting into this, and it's always like, again, it's like the nuance of it. If there were true transparency in what Trump is coming to do, which of course it's not, I understand that, but like, would love to see, I think Pam Bondi just called for total transparency of all of the Epstein trials. Now, of course, that's not going to happen because it would also, draw in Trump and Elon Musk. The Clinton Foundation, I would love to see how USAID worked with the Clinton Foundation to make, that philanthropic foundation really just funnel money to the Clintons and all their friends. How about all the international journals and also like Politico and journals here in the US that are funded by USAID? I mean, I would love to know all of that, but I don't trust Doge and Trump. They're not concerned about going against corruption or transparency. They just have an enemies list. But like, that's the problem, is that people are so thirsty for anything that feels like you're taking down corruption that some people who should probably know better are getting behind Trump and Elon because they think they're finally and RFK said we're gonna show all of the literature and the studies on what happened to his father and his uncle, and yet his daughter-in-law is CIA and he really respects it. Like, it's all
but imagine
so
really wanting to know that and seeing the JFK stuff come out and learning something about the government being involved. And you're like, aha. So now I trust RFK Jr., the guy that lies about COVID and vaccines every day, killed 1 million people through all his bullshit, probably in the US, directly in, what's the country? So,
I don't know if it was in
with the measles, he parachuted into, it wasn't Haiti.
I think it was
somebody in the chat.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a measles outbreak about to happen. He parachuted in there and spread all this misinformation about vaccines, about measles, and it literally killed hundreds of Samoa. It literally killed over 100 kids directly. Who knows how many people it harmed? But he's so dangerous for our society, and the fact that he can get in there and just release some truth about, his brother. It's the problem. Nobody's been telling the truth for so long that nobody trusts Democrats. So the right.
And there's never like a consequence of the corruption or the lies, whether it's Democrats holding Republicans to account or holding their own party, or like, there's just no consequence to to the lies, the deceit, the corruption. And so it just keeps, it's the ratchet effect and all of that. It just keeps getting worse and worse. But I do think that right now, this embrace of white supremacy and neo-Nazi stuff, and it is swept into what's happening in Israel. I mean, like, that's part of all of it. And both of our major parties are 100% complicit. It is, how do we figure out a way to control the people we consider to be cockroaches, who is most of all of us? So
yeah,
it's scary, and we don't have anybody leading the charge against it.
We don't. And the fact that the police force is getting weaponized locally, the fact that the police force is trained by a lot of the people behind the white supremacist ideology of the IDF, which is bizarre, but they're training our local police force to shut down protests in the same way that Netanyahu did.
Yep.
And all that was enabled and is still enabled by Democrats, who will still keep funding these fascist people that are going to control us. Yep. So you're going to have these sparks that happen with protests in the future very soon, although the Democrats are not even gathering protests, so it's not going to be from them. But it's going to be the police forces against the protesters and the Nazi white supremacist groups. And the police are going to come down on the side of the white supremacist Nazi groups that are being dog whistled at by Elon Musk.
It's like, why do you never see Clark Kent and Superman in the same?
Yeah. So yeah, it's another reason to wear fucking masks, because they are like using facial recognition technology. Musk is coming in here, getting social security numbers and all the information about all of us.
Yep.
They're doing everything they can to find a way to extract trillions and trillions of dollars to people like Musk and lock us up for trying to stop it. And
then they'll use our labor for free to fight the fires and work at McDonald's. Yeah. And
like 60% of the people in jail are doing free labor for the country now. And that number is going to grow under Trump exponentially. And there's no safety hazards. What do you need to point out that Trump is full of shit and the Democrats aren't stopping it? Because they're happy to with most of this stuff.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty crazy. Wait, I'm seeing that people are saying that RFK got confirmed. I knew he got passed on. Did he get confirmed?
He got through the Senate. Is it?
Yeah, but did they already have the? I know both he and Tulsi got moved on, but I don't know. I didn't know they got confirmed. I need to look. Yeah. Okay, so just as a counter, because we try our best in the midst of all the sadness to find the few moments of hope. BRICS, I think, is a real positive movement against the U.S. dominance because of our, because of how we force like the U.S. dollar as the only system for the whole world. Means that the U.S. can sanction countries, can get rid of their left-leaning, politicians or leaders and stage coups, and will sanction, Venezuela and Cuba and whoever we want. And now with BRICS, I feel like because it is so clear that the U.S. does not believe in a rules-based order and is going out of its way to protect itself and their genocidal friend Israel, Brazil and Russia and India, China are really, and now I think it's 52% of the global economy is held by BRICS nations. So that's a huge threat to U.S. hegemony, which I think is, and it's not that I think that anybody in power in any of those nations is like some benevolent person. But I think it's good just for there not to be only one bully on the block, right?
Yeah, capitalist countries. Like, let's compete for the best global evil
structures
piece of
and
shit
policies
country.
and whatever the fuck. Yeah. So that's one thing. The other thing is, it's obviously very clear that with our Hague Act that was enacted under Bush, W. Bush, I think in 2004, where if any U.S. ally basically was subpoenaed or convicted or wanted for a crime against humanity, according to the Hague, the U.S. would just go in and storm the Hague and be done with that, right? So now there is a counter group, the Hague Act, when we've talked about them, or the Hague group, which, listen, a lot of this just ends up in the courts, but the more the better. People who are just calling attention to the lawlessness of the most powerful people in the world. So 9 nations, this was 5 days ago, right? Yeah, 6 days ago. 9 nations, collectively known as the Hague Group, gathered in The Hague to coordinate legal, diplomatic, and economic measures against Israel's violations of international law. The meeting between state representatives of Belize, Bolivia, Colombia, Cuba, Honduras, Malaysia, Namibia, Senegal, and South Africa explored collective action at both national and international levels to further the cause of Palestinian liberation. The statement adopted following the meeting commits states to uphold arrest warrants issued against Israeli officials by the International Criminal Court, prevent provision or transfer of arms, munitions, and related equipment to Israel where there is a clear risk that they might be used to violate international law, and preventing the docking of vessels at any of their ports where there is a risk of the vessel being used to carry military fuel and weaponry to Israel. I mean, the U.S. has violated its own laws by arming Israel. So
clear as fucking day, we are the bad guys as per our own rules and order we established for the rest of the world. No doubt about it. So kudos to these guys, and we're going out on that, right?
Yeah,
Kimmy,
we're going to go out. Cheers. Cheers to all of you. Yes, the Hague Group. Yes, to the people who are really doing the work. And let's not forget Ansar Allah, the Houthis, who have done a pretty masterful job as the only group who has actually shut down some of the commerce between Israel and other nations. And the Hague Group looks like it will be following in their footsteps with more nations. Grateful to them. Grateful to all of you guys. Keep punching up. We'll see you on Sunday.
Cheers.
So what is the Hague Group? Why another group? What makes it different? This is a group for collective action. Collective action at the national level, collective action at the international level, and collective action at the multilateral level. Because we live in an interconnected world, and as we've seen clearly with Israel's actions in Gaza, the mechanisms of injustice are found in the fabric of global supply chains. We know that advanced weaponry cannot be built without technology, without materials, without components from factories that span across continents. We know that they can't be shipped to be used against the Palestinian people without using ports and logistics networks that are on each of our own soils and each of our own territories. So by coordinating the commitments that many of these nations have already championed across our ports, across our factories, across our courts, the Hague Group aims to build a bulwark to defend international law. Just as the international community once united to dismantle apartheid in South Africa through similarly coordinated legal and diplomatic pressure, we must now unite to enforce international law and protect the inalienable right of the Palestinian people to self-determination. The alternative would be, it's clear to all of us, it's extremely stark, the alternative would be surrender to a world where might alone determines whether laws matter and when they can be violated at will